Alright, let's get real here. Women don't always come back because they suddenly miss you or have this magical epiphany about how much you mean to them. And they definitely don't return because they've fallen head over heels overnight. The truth is, it's a lot more complicated, and honestly, it's probably not what most guys want to hear. But here's the thing. This kind of situation is exactly where a bit of Stoic wisdom can help. So, here's the deal. Women often come back after no contact for one big reason: loss of control. When you truly cut her off, no calls, no texts, no little signs you're still around, you flip the whole dynamic. It's like turning the tables, and suddenly, you're not chasing her anymore. This shift, it throws her off balance. And just like a Stoic would tell you, we can't control other people's reactions, only how we respond, and your response to her absence speaks volumes. Why does this happen? Well, it's simple. Like anyone, she craves validation. She's used to being the center of attention, the one calling the shots. But when that power slips away, it triggers something inside her. She starts to feel fear, the fear that you've moved on, that someone else has stepped into her spot, that she's no longer the prize in your eyes. Here's where things get a little tricky. Most women don't come back because of you. They come back because of the control they lost. It's not about your personality, your looks, or your accomplishments. It's about how they feel when you're not chasing them. That space you create, it forces her to act. And this is where the Stoic approach comes in strong. In the face of uncertainty, we don't lose our balance or react impulsively. If she suddenly texts, calls, or shows up out of nowhere, don't fall for the trap. You might think, wow, she really cares. But that's exactly what she wants you to think. The key here is to resist that urge to chase her again, to reassert your emotional independence. No contact works, but not for the reasons most guys believe. It's not about making her realize how amazing you are. It's about shifting the power dynamic. And, most importantly, it's about understanding that your worth doesn't depend on her validation. As the Stoics would say, it's all about maintaining control over yourself and your reactions. When you truly grasp this, you'll realize that it's not just about getting her back. It's about whether you even want her back. Before we dive in, take a moment to subscribe if you're ready to transform how you handle relationships using the power of Stoicism. Every video is a step toward mastering your mindset and building stronger, more meaningful connections. Alright, let's jump in. 1. She misses the power she had over you. When a woman feels in control of a relationship, it boosts her confidence. It's subtle, but very real. She knows she can set the terms, how often you reach out, how much effort you put in, and even how you react to her. That sense of power makes her feel secure, almost untouchable. But when you take that control away, when you stop reaching out, stop reacting, it shakes her. Suddenly, she has to confront something uncomfortable. She's not in control anymore. This is where the no contact rule really works its magic. You're no longer chasing her. You're no longer feeding her the emotional responses she's come to expect. You've gone silent, leaving her in the dark. She doesn't know what you're thinking, what you're doing, or even who you're spending time with. At first, she might enjoy the space, but over time, questions creep in. Does he miss me? Is he thinking about me? The longer you maintain your silence, the more these questions grow, and the stronger the pull becomes. When she finally breaks the silence, it's not necessarily because she's had a grand epiphany about how much she misses you. It's often a way to test the waters. She wants to know, do I still have control? Will he respond the way he used to? Take Mark and Sarah, for example. Mark was the classic nice guy, always texting Sarah, making plans, and going out of his way to show how much he cared. Sarah got used to this dynamic. She didn't have to try because Mark was doing all the chasing. But one day, Mark decided to stop. No more texts, no more calls, no more chasing. At first, Sarah didn't notice. She was too used to having all the power. But as the days turned into weeks, she started to feel the shift. She wasn't in control anymore. Eventually, Sarah reached out, but not to say, I miss you or I care about you. She wanted to see if Mark would start chasing her again. It wasn't about Mark. It was about her and the control she wanted back. The lesson? When you stop giving someone your energy, you flip the script, and that's when they start to feel the void you've left behind. 2. When you stop chasing, it messes with her mind. The moment you stop chasing her, everything changes. Think about it. If she's been used to you always being there, always reaching out and always showing how much you care, suddenly pulling back is like flipping her world upside down. For many women, being pursued isn't just flattering. It's a form of validation. It makes them feel wanted, important, and secure. Your attention was her constant reminder that she was at the center of your world. But when that attention vanishes, it leaves a massive gap. At first, she might brush it off, thinking you'll come back like always. But as the silence grows louder, it starts to mess with her. She begins to wonder, why did he stop? Who is he focused on now? What if he's moved on? That uncertainty can drive her crazy. She'll replay old conversations, analyze your every move, or lack thereof, and start to feel a void she didn't even notice before. When you stop chasing, you're flipping the script. She's no longer the one being pursued. You've taken a step back, and now she's the one left wondering. It shakes her confidence, makes her question her assumptions, and forces her to confront the possibility that she's lost the control she once had. Take James and Emily, for example. James was the kind of guy who always made the effort. He'd text Emily first, plan their meetups, and constantly remind her how much he cared. Emily enjoyed the attention, but never felt the need to give it back because she assumed James would always be there. But one day James stopped. No texts, no calls, no likes on her posts. He just went silent. At first, Emily shrugged it off, thinking he'd come running back like usual. But as the days turned into weeks, her confidence started to crack. Why wasn't James reaching out? Had he moved on? Eventually, Emily couldn't take it anymore. She reached out under the guise of a casual message, something simple to test the waters. But deep down, she wasn't reaching out because she missed James himself. She missed the validation James used to give her. For James, though, this wasn't about playing games. It was about recognizing his own worth and stepping away from a dynamic where his effort wasn't valued. By doing so, he let Emily feel what it was like to lose something she had taken for granted. The lesson? Pulling back isn't about manipulation. It's about reclaiming your value and showing someone what life looks like without you in it. Sometimes that silence says more than words ever could. 3. No contact leaves her feeling off balance. When you stop reaching out, it's like pulling the rug out from under her. She's been used to a certain rhythm, a predictable flow of messages, calls, and attention from you. That predictability made her feel secure, even if she didn't realize it at the time. But when you go quiet, everything changes. Think about it. As long as you're there, ready to respond or engage, she doesn't have to guess. She knows how much you care, when you'll text, and what to expect. It's a comfort zone for her. But when that stops, suddenly she's in uncharted territory. Questions start popping up in her mind. Why isn't he texting me? Did he lose interest? Has he already moved on? These aren't just passing thoughts. They stick with her, creating a sense of unease she can't shake. That steady pattern she relied on is gone, and now she's left wondering where she stands. Here's the kicker. When you stop being so predictable, you take back the control. She's no longer the one dictating how things go. Instead, you've flipped the script, and now she's trying to figure you out. This shift is unsettling for her because she's no longer in the driver's seat. It's not just about emotions, it's about pride too. No one enjoys feeling like they've lost their grip on a situation, especially when they once felt in control. Your silence becomes a statement, loud and clear. You're no longer playing by her rules. Here's where it gets interesting. On one hand, she might resist reaching out because doing so would mean admitting she's lost some control. On the other hand, the silence eats away at her. The uncertainty nags at her ego and creates a need to re-establish the connection. Not because she misses you necessarily, but because she wants to feel in control again. Take a step back and think about it. By removing yourself from the equation, you've created a challenge she wasn't expecting. Suddenly, she has to work to figure out where you stand, what you're thinking, and whether she still holds the same influence over you. This is why no contact can be so effective. It's not about being manipulative, it's about reclaiming your own sense of value and letting her see what life is like without your attention. The pull she feels to reconnect isn't just about missing you. It's about regaining the stability she once felt when she knew exactly where you stood. By stepping away, you've shifted the dynamic entirely, putting her in a position she didn't see coming. And that's why no contact often leads to her coming back. Not for love, but for the power she feels she's lost. 4. The fear of being replaced. Here's the thing. Nothing shakes a woman's confidence like the idea of being replaced. When you stop reaching out, she might be able to handle the silence at first. But the thought of someone else stepping into her spot, that's an entirely different story. It's not just about the distance anymore. The idea that you could be laughing with someone new, sharing your time and attention, or even moving on emotionally makes her spiral. Suddenly, what was once a game of patience turns into a feeling of panic. She can't bear the thought that someone else might take the place she used to hold in your life. Even if she's telling herself, "I'm fine, I don't need him." There's a part of her that's asking, has he really moved on? Is he happier without me? Has someone else caught his eye? That inner dialogue stings because it forces her to confront her insecurities. And for many women, being desired is tied to their sense of value. The idea that you've shifted your focus elsewhere, it makes her question her own worth, even if she doesn't say it out loud. Here's where it gets interesting. It's not always about love. Sometimes it's about pride. She might not even realize it, but there's a competitive instinct at play. She doesn't want to lose to someone else. It's about proving to herself and to you that she's still important. That fear of being replaced triggers her to act. Maybe she starts texting again, casually asking how you've been. Or perhaps she begins lurking on your social media, trying to figure out if there's someone new in your life. The smallest hint of competition can spark her need to reestablish her place in your world. Deep down, everyone wants to feel unique and irreplaceable. For her, seeing you potentially move on isn't just about losing you, it's about losing the idea that she was special to you. That realization can be hard to accept, and it's often what drives her back into the picture. The irony is that sometimes her actions aren't even intentional. It's a gut reaction to the insecurity of being replaced. By stepping away and showing that you're fine without her, you've created a scenario where she feels the need to prove herself. And often she doesn't even fully understand why. At the heart of it, this isn't just about not wanting to lose you. It's about not wanting to lose the version of herself she sees through your eyes. And that's why the fear of replacement can be such a powerful motivator. 5. You were always too available. Let's be honest. A lot of guys make this mistake. You're the one who always replies instantly, drops everything the moment she calls, and rearranges your life just to spend time with her. It feels like you're doing the right thing, being attentive, showing you care. But here's the reality. It's not helping you. When you're too available, it sends the wrong message. Instead of showing her you're reliable, it makes you seem, well, desperate. And here's the deal. People don't really value what's handed to them on a silver platter. If she knows you're always there, ready to respond at a moment's notice, it's hard for her to truly appreciate you. Think about it. If she knows you'll always drop everything for her, it tells her that you don't have much else going on. You're not busy chasing your dreams, living your life, or following your passions. You're just waiting around for her. And while that might sound romantic in movies, in real life, it can make you seem boring or predictable. The truth is, women are drawn to men who have their own lives. A man who's passionate about something, who has goals, hobbies, and friends. That's the kind of guy who sparks her interest. When you're constantly available, you're telling her, "You're the only thing I've got going on." And that's not attractive. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't about ignoring her or playing hard to get. It's about balance. You need to show her that you've got other things that matter to you, whether it's your career, your health, or even just spending time with your friends. When you prioritize your own life, something interesting happens. She starts to wonder, what's he up to? Why isn't he texting me back right away? That little bit of mystery makes her curious. And curiosity, it's one of the strongest drivers of attraction. If you're always there, she never gets the chance to miss you. She doesn't have the space to think, wow, I really like having him around. Instead, your constant availability makes her take you for granted. But when you step back, when you stop texting first, stop dropping everything for her, she starts to feel the difference. She notices the gap your absence creates, and suddenly, you're not just predictable anymore. You're someone she has to work to win back. The bottom line? Stop making her the center of your universe. Focus on yourself, your goals, your passions, and your growth. Show her that you're someone who knows his worth, someone who has a life outside of her. When you do that, something amazing happens. She starts to see you differently. You're not just the guy who's always there. You're the guy she doesn't want to lose. And that's when she'll begin to truly value your presence. All right, before we jump back in, if you're finding this helpful, hit that like button. It helps YouTube share this with more men who need it, and it keeps the content coming. It's quick, free, and it makes a real difference. Thanks. Let's get back to it. 6. She can't stand the silence because it forces her to face her feelings. Silence is powerful, almost like a message in itself. When you stop reaching out, stop texting, stop being there, it creates this huge space that's louder than anything else. And for her, that silence can be really hard to deal with. It forces her to face emotions she might have been avoiding. Women often rely on talking to you, getting your attention, and hearing your words to feel like they matter in your life. So when all of that stops, it can be unsettling, even for someone who's usually very confident. Here's what happens. Silence leaves room for thoughts to spiral. She starts wondering, why isn't he reaching out? Has he moved on? Is he doing better without me? These thoughts invade her mind, and it's not just annoying, it's intense. The quiet makes her reflect, and she starts realizing how much she actually misses you. You see, silence messes with the emotional balance between you two. When you were chasing her, she felt secure in the idea that you were always there, always thinking about her, even if she wasn't totally committed. But now, when you stop all communication, the tables turn. Your silence forces her to face an uncomfortable truth. She actually cared more about you than she was willing to admit. And that realization hits harder than any argument ever could. When you pull away, you're giving her emotional space to think. At first, she might act like she doesn't care. She might even convince herself she's better off without you. But after a few days, the quiet starts to eat away at her. She'll replay moments in her head, wonder what went wrong, and eventually hit a point where she has to choose. Does she reach out to you, or does she let you go for good? For most women, the idea of staying silent forever is unbearable. Silence doesn't just mess with power or control. It forces her to face the feelings she's been trying to ignore. And that's why so many women end up breaking no contact first. It's not about winning or losing, it's about feeling the emotional weight of losing someone who once mattered so much to her. Your silence is your strength. It's one of the most powerful tools you have, even if you don't realize it. It's what makes her see you in a new light, and it forces her to acknowledge her own emotions. So never underestimate the power of stepping back. 7. Women love the chase, but they hate losing it. Let's be honest, women love the chase. It's exciting, thrilling, and sometimes even a bit crazy. There's something about the pursuit that gets their heart racing and keeps them hooked. But here's the twist most guys miss. They don't just love the chase, they hate losing it. You might think that once you've caught her attention, the game's over. But here's the truth. It's never really about catching her. It's about keeping her interested. The real trick is maintaining the chase, keeping that sense of mystery and challenge alive. Here's where a lot of guys mess up. They get too comfortable. After making a good impression, they think, I've won. But that's not the whole story. Women don't just want to be won, they want to keep winning. They want to feel like there's still a challenge, something to strive for. When they no longer feel that you're actively pursuing them, that's when attraction starts to fade. It's not about you just winning them over. It's about showing them that there's always more to work toward. Women love feeling like the object of someone's pursuit because it makes them feel special, desired, and sought after. But once the chase ends and everything feels too easy, they begin to question if they're truly valued for who they are, or just for what they bring in the moment. The chase is what makes the connection exciting and meaningful. When things get too simple, they start to lose interest. But don't get it wrong. The chase isn't about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about having your own life, your own passions, and your own purpose, while still showing her that she's worth the effort. When she sees that you're busy living your own life but still find time for her, that's when the chase feels real. So if you want to keep her coming back, don't stop the chase just because you think you've got her. Embrace the fact that women need to feel worth pursuing. The moment you stop showing interest, stop making her feel like there's something to chase, that's the moment she starts to pull away. 8. Your absence makes her realize you're not desperate. You might think that being available all the time or constantly being there for her is what will make her appreciate you. But here's the surprising truth. It's actually your absence that makes her realize you're not desperate. Sounds weird, right? You'd think that always showing up and being there for her would make you more desirable. But when you're always around, ready to drop everything for her, it can start to feel like you have nothing else going on in your life. This can make you seem needy, and let's be honest, nobody finds desperation attractive. Here's the thing. Women are drawn to men who have their own lives, their own passions, and their own priorities. When you step back and stop constantly chasing after her attention, she starts to notice. It forces her to see that you're not like every other guy who's always available. Instead of feeling comfortable, thinking you'll always be there, she starts realizing that you have boundaries. And that's what makes you stand out. When you're always around, she doesn't have to work hard to keep you in her life. But when you take a step back and make her put in some effort to get your time and attention, something shifts inside her. She starts to miss you. That absence triggers a realization. If she wants to keep you around, she'll have to step up her game. The moment you stop acting like you're desperate to please her, she starts thinking, wait, maybe I need to try harder to keep this guy in my life. Here's the big secret. Your absence makes her see your true value. When you're not always there, she realizes you're someone who doesn't need her to feel good about yourself. You're a man who's comfortable being on his own, who has a life outside of her, and who doesn't rely on her to be happy. That's the kind of man who sparks real attraction, not the one who drops everything just to be in her world. So don't be afraid to take a step back. Don't fear the silence. Your absence will make her realize that you're not desperate, and it will make her wonder what she might be missing out on. 9. She comes back to test if you'll chase again. Have you ever wondered why she comes back after you've pulled away? It's not always because she misses you or wants to reconnect. Sometimes it's simply a test. She's testing to see if you'll chase her again. Think about it. When you stop chasing and take a step back, you create a shift. That shift makes her wonder how much you really care. She starts to question if you'll pursue her again or if she's truly lost your attention for good. This isn't always something she consciously decides to do, but many women tend to follow this pattern. Once you stop reaching out first, once you stop putting in all the effort, something clicks inside her. She starts wondering, does he still care? Is he still interested in me? That's when she makes the move to come back. But here's the big question. Will you chase her again? Will you fall back into the same old pattern of neediness and over-attachment? Or will you continue to stay emotionally independent and let her earn your attention? Let's face it. Women love knowing they're wanted. When they stop feeling like they're being pursued, when they realize you're not hanging on every word, It can make them feel insecure. That's when the test begins. She'll come back, whether it's through a text, a call, or just a casual conversation, to see if you'll start chasing her again just like before. Here's the catch. If you do chase her again after she's tested you, you lose your power. Women are drawn to men who are emotionally stable, men who are secure in themselves. If you drop everything just to win her back, you're telling her that you don't have anything better to do, and that's not attractive. So when she comes back to test you, don't fall into the trap of giving her the attention she's expecting. Instead, show her that you're still living your life, still pursuing your goals, and still emotionally independent. This will make her question her actions and keep her wondering if she's truly worth the chase. 10. She returns, because it's about her ego, not love. Here's a tough truth. When she comes back, it's usually about her ego, not love. Now don't get me wrong, she might still have some feelings for you. But that's not what's really driving her decision to come back. What's happening is that her ego needs validation. When you pull away, when you stop chasing, and when you stop giving her constant attention, it forces her to face a hard truth. You're not chasing her anymore. And that stings her pride. Think about it. When you were always there, she felt secure. She felt wanted, important, and special. But once you pulled back, that's when she started to feel something she's not used to. Uncertainty. She starts wondering, is he still into me? Am I still a priority in his life? That's when her ego kicks in. Her returning isn't always about love. It's about proving to herself that she still has the power to get your attention. She wants to know if she can still make you want her, if she can still turn your world upside down with just a glance or a word. She comes back to test if she can still command your focus, if she can make you drop everything and chase her once more. It's a power move, a way for her to see if she still has control over you. Here's the cold truth. Women love the feeling of being desired. When you stop chasing, when you stop putting her on a pedestal, it makes her face the possibility that she's lost that power. That's why she returns. It's to test the waters, to see if she can still pull you in. But here's the catch. Her coming back doesn't mean she's ready for a relationship or even that she's in love with you. It means she wants to feel wanted. It's about her ego, not love. Bottom line, women don't come back because they miss you. They come back because they miss the power they had over you. When you stop chasing, when you step back, she realizes she's no longer the center of your world. That's when she starts wondering if she can get that power back. So the real question is, will you let her? Will you fall back into the pattern of chasing, or will you stay emotionally strong and independent? Will you show her that you're not the type of guy who lets his emotions be controlled by her ego? If you've been in a situation where a woman returned after you pulled away, I'd love to hear your story. Drop your experiences in the comments. I'll personally reach out to connect and talk about what went wrong, what went right, and how you can maintain your power moving forward. Stop chasing and start living your life. Your worth isn't tied to her attention. She'll always come back when she knows she can't have you. But it's up to you whether you let her stay. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with someone who might find it helpful, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.